kind of continuing on too, I did say Failism was going to kind of be a long one. There's 14 principles of management that Fail really believed in. They're kind of different than the core fundamentals. Fail believed in the division of work. Not everybody should be able, should be doing everything. There does need to be, companies should be departmentalized. I think that's a word. I hope that's a word, or I'm going to look like an idiot making up stuff. But you also need to have delegation of authority and responsibilities. I've been in this situation more times than not, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves with some of these like minor league teams I've worked for, is that you'll have three different people telling you three different things, and you do it one way, the best way, and the way you would do it, and then somebody else who may have authority or might not, and you don't really know, comes along and says, "Oh, Nick, I need this over there. You set this up wrong, whatever," and you're just running around, and it's a waste of time. You've got organization arguing going on. So there just needs to be a clear delegation of authority and responsibilities. There needs to be discipline as well. Everybody needs to be bought in, and this kind of ties into 4 and 5 as well. Unity of commands, unity of direction. Everybody needs to have the same goal in mind. Everybody needs to have a strong work ethic and a similar work ethic, and that's how you're going to get things done. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and if your weakest link is very weak, then that chain is not going to hold up very long. It's going to start affecting other people. That kind of ties back into the idea that the departments need to be kind of a spider web and bounce off of one another and work together to achieve organizational success. There needs to be an interrelation between interest and organizational goals. Obviously, if you're, I keep going back to cars, but if you're building a car engine and you're somebody that doesn't believe that cars are good for the environment, are you really going to have a super high interest in putting together motors? Or if you were somebody that litters every time you're in the car, are you going to have an interest and a good work ethic when it comes to picking up trash on the side of the road, right? So you've got to have that. You got to be able to be passionate about your work. You can't go into your office every day and hate what you do and hate everyone you work with and hate the idea and the goals that your company has. 7, the fair compensation package, very fair. All of us are working because to support ourselves at the end of the day. I think most people would tell you that if you interviewed 100 people on the street, I guarantee you at least 90 of them are going to say, well, I need to work to stay alive, to support myself, to support my family, to support my loved ones, to keep a roof over my head and food on the table. Fair compensation packages. A lot of people leave jobs. It's either because of the compensation package, because you get a bigger offer somewhere else, or it's because you don't like the people you work with. It's usually one of those two. And you need to compensate people fairly. I think that one we can all agree on is important. You need to have centralization and decentralization as well, just in your work and your tasks. There needs to be a clear line of authority. Scalar chains, I believe, is how you say that. That's kind of the same as number 2. There needs to be, if you have a boss, they have a boss, they have a boss. There needs to be a clear chain up to the top. You can't have one person reporting to 4 different people, and then he's got 6 different people reporting under him, but some of those people under him report to other people as well. The departments need to be like a spider web of working together, but the chain of authority, the family tree, the map, more so, I guess you could call it, needs to be straight up and down. That sounded terrible, saying family tree should be a clear chain like that. That's probably not the best thing to say. There needs to be order in the workplace. You can't have a chaotic workplace, obviously, and be productive. I've seen this again, time and time again. Equity and job stability are important. People aren't going to go back, and that 12 kind of ties in with 10 as well. People are on the edge of their seats thinking, oh, I'm about to get fired, I'm about to get laid off, I'm about to lose my job, I'm going to get demoted, whatever the case might be. They're not going to be able to perform. If you've got people out there looking at for other jobs for half of the time they're at work every day, how good of an employee are they going to be able to be? People need to show initiative as well. If everybody did exactly what they were expected and nothing more, I don't think a lot of companies would really progress. I mean, people need to take initiative. People need to take leadership, take on leadership roles, not when they're called upon, but when they see a need for one, and to take on work and to help their companies be a well-oiled machine with no setbacks. And then the last one, number 14, is the esprit de corps. This is more so team spirit again. Just like with number 10, the team needs to be happy. No one wants to go into a building every day and sit down at a desk and work with a bunch of sad people. We don't want that, But yeah, just looking at some of the differences now between Taylorism and Failism. Taylorism is more micro, while Failism is more macro. I mean, Taylorism really gets down the management styles to a science. That thing. There's set rules and regulations in place. Failism is more just looking at the big picture, making sure everybody is, kind of staying in line there. Everyone's happy, and able to work together. Taylorism focuses more on that set process. Failism is a little less streamlined, a little more, like I keep saying, the spider web, but having, departments work together. Taylorism is like, you have one manager, he's got, workers under him, they're doing one thing. You're building, you're putting together light bulbs, and you're not working with the guys that are putting together the rest of the lamp. Basically, I think that's a good way on how to explain it. Failism focuses more on creating, workplace morale through management, while Taylorism focuses more on productivity and then rewards people after. Failism, you don't really see like the, you put together 100 light bulbs today. Oh, here's $10 extra on your paycheck at the end of the week. We see that in Taylorism. We don't really see that in Failism. I think Taylorism applies more to a blue collar, production line type of industry. Failism can be used in an office as well, and this also starts to trend too. The further we get along, you see more of an emphasis put on human life and happiness, and less of just strictly production, less of looking at humans as machines and workers, and more so as just as people, and having families and wanting to have a healthy balance between work and life. So now we're going to look at the bureaucratic theory, developed by, I believe it was Max Weber. Max was his first name. It's commonly called Weberism. That's how I'll refer to it 95% of the time in this PowerPoint. That we continue that trend of it being named after people. Max Weber, German. Didn't even read my own slide. Sorry. Well-known philosopher and thinker from the late 1800s and early 1900s. He outlined that organizations should be structured in a hierarchical format. So, kind of more so there with, in line with Failism and Taylorism. This is where a lot of the similarities come. Each level is directly supervised from the person directly above them. Yeah, that's Taylor. That he took that. I don't want to say he stole that, but he took that from Taylorism and Failism a little bit. Not as much of that spider web here in Weberism, but this places an importance on specialization from workers, over learning a broader scope of skills and tasks. So more so again in line with Taylorism, Weberism. These decisions are based on regulations already put in place. Again, like Taylorism, I think we can all start to see just all the similarities between these two now. Documentation of every task completed is essential. There needs to be a paper trail of everything. This helps if there's any issues that arise later. If you have new people starting, people leave, whatever, you're not kind of stranded. I'll use the example. I took over a job for somebody a month ago that was told that they were going to be staying on and moving to a different department, and 2 weeks later was fired, and I no longer have that person to lean on for help. And there's really there wasn't a paper trail of anything, and it's been super tough going and trying to find usernames and passwords for different sites, for stuff I need to sign into, and and having that list of processes. Just in Weberism, just having everything documented and filed away is essential to helping, keep long-term stability in a company. And the promotions are done by examining current technical skills and knowledge, not by potential. So if you're a 40-year-old with 20 years of work experience, or you're a 22-year-old fresh college graduate, the job's going to the 40-year-old. Sorry. That's kind of just Weberism. That's kind of his thinking as well. He wants proven production over the potential, and it's the more safe conservative route. So to kind of continue on here, got a little half slide here for you. Non-personal relationships between workers and managers is pretty essential for Weberism. Just make sure that work is work and work isn't, decisions aren't made with someone's feelings in mind or long-term ramifications. Oh, if I give this guy a performance warning, he's not going to want to have a beer with me after work. He's not going to want to come over on Sunday and watch NFL. It's just having just a strictly work relationship between workers and managers, and then between workers and other workers as well. Helps production reach its highest if you're not distracted at work. I think that's a good way to put it. Strict workplace guidelines, again, this goes on everything from mingling with your coworkers, dress code, start time, end times, things like that. It's very strict. Weberism is probably the most strict out of these 6 from my research, and then it limits flexibility too. This is like the biggest downside, and it's really the biggest glaring downside out of any of these 6 that I found. There's like that hierarchical chain, so there's really no flexibility. There's no, if somebody gets let go or someone's out, somebody else can jump into that role for the day, and figure things out. So just kind of looking at some of the differences between Weberism and Taylorism. I can't talk, sorry. Taylorism is based off expertise, not dependent on the organizational structure. Weberism follows a hierarchical pattern and focuses more on the chain of command rather than individual expertise. Weberism kind of looks at like the managers, kind of like Failism, that the managers are very important, and they're more important than the workers, and what they know. But Taylorism is kind of in the mindset that your manager could be fired and you're still going to do your job just fine because you know everything. Weberism uses rules and procedures to keep productivity flowing, while Taylorism uses scientific studies and measures. I don't really have much to say on that. Weberism strives for shoot, I can't talk again. Damn. Weberism strives for fairness and stability. Taylorism strives for more efficiency and high production output. Taylorism's just numbers, and people are going to try to hit those numbers because they're incentivized to. Weberism is more so just for keeping an organization stable and still reaching goals. But yeah,